Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm trying something new. It's my first devlog video. So last weekend I joined a game jam. It's called Mini Jam. It's a medium-sized game jam that runs every other weekend with a lot of unique themes and limitations that help foster fresh gameplay. It's no ludum dare, but it still gets a fairly large number of submissions when it runs every 2 weeks. Mini Jam 158's loose theme was shopping. And the required limitation, which is only unveiled the first day of the jam, was cards as a mechanic. My first thoughts were to make some spin-off of poker, kind of like Balatro, where you can buy extra abilities like wild cards or redraws by spinning chips on top of the normal rules of poker. And I was actually having a bit of a hard time coming up with a set of rules that would make it balanced and fun with this idea. Also, being a 2-day jam, multiplayer was pretty much out of the question. So I'd also have to implement some kind of opponent AI which could take some time getting just right. With all that, I just decided to try another idea I've had in my head for a while. A game where you play as a fisherman on a small boat, catching fish, and trading with the merchant ships you encounter. No scary enemies or heavy conflict. I was thinking of something kind of like the vibe of Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. So I've actually made a prototype kind of like this idea on the TIC-80 Fantasy console, which is great for making tiny retro games, but I wanted to try building it with the Godot engine, which has more features, to try to speed things up. But wait, there's a problem. This game idea works with the shopping theme, but the limitation is pretty clear about involving cards as a mechanic, of which there are none yet. I had a bunch of things going through my head. Maybe we can stop and play cards with the other boats as a minigame. Or maybe some ships can have you pick a face-down card which determines the conditions underwater when we fish. Or we could represent the fish caught and items traded as cards, some as permanent upgrades and others as abilities which could be used while fishing to grant different effects. I ended up settling on the last one and went to bed as it was getting late when the theme was announced. Morning came and I hopped into Godot and got to work. First things first, player movement. Done, easy. Then I started thinking about how to make the water. I could just make some art for the water and maybe animate it, but I already had a feeling it wouldn't look how I'd like it. I tried a new-to-me approach. For dynamic looking water, I could use a 2D mesh processed by Vertex shader to draw the water surface. Spoiler alert, this ended up not being so easy. Well, that ended up taking at least a couple of hours, but I'm happy with how it turned out. It took testing some parameters on the waves, like wave height and frequency, to find something that I liked. For those interested, Godot's documentation has a fantastic tutorial on 2D and 3D shaders in general that I'd recommend looking at. It helped me a ton when I was trying to figure out this water vertex shader. Alright, no more moving Godot icon, let's slap some actual art into this game. Let's go with a boat sprite. Now, I'm no pro artist, but I was really happy with how this one turned out. And sadly, I decided against having an autonomous ghost ship fishing game. In this game, I actually picture the player being able to walk around on deck to find a good spot to cast his line. Let's go ahead and add that in the game. There we go, we got it working first try. Wait a minute. There we go. We got proper physics and collision on the player. I named him Henry, by the way. Now, on to some actual fishing. A rod, a hook, and a line connecting them. How hard could it be? Awesome, we got it working. Let's just erase the jankness we saw earlier from our minds and move on. Next, we need to spawn in some basic fish, get them to swim around, and remove them from memory when we get too far from the player. The way I designed this was to place new fish at a random point on the edge of a circle formed around the hook until a certain population of fish is reached. They just swim to the left or right for now until they're either caught or swim outside of the safe zone and deleted. So now we just need some hitboxes on the hook and fish and a bit more code and we're good. But not without running into some more bugs, of course. Alright, we got it working. So the idea is to be able to steer the hook as it sinks to get as deep as possible before hooking a fish and as many as possible on the way up. And we got this main game mechanic somewhat working, but there's still lots of issues to work out. The hook can just sink below the bottom of the ocean, and the fish spawn down there too. Hooking these fish seems unnatural right now. It's sinking further into the water even after hooking one. It was already the second day and we still have no cards in the game yet. Also, we still have no trading. I needed to pick up the pace a bit to get this game idea to work out. So I started with adding a basic fish card. I also added merchant ships that pass by randomly to buy your fish off of you. I eventually got most of those issues fixed, and I decided to add some clouds. I went with Godot's parallax background node containing 4 parallax layers of clouds, one for each of the 4 distances from the camera. Naturally, the layers further away have clouds that appear smaller, traveling relatively slower than the closer clouds. A lot of clouds spawn over time, which could lag out the game if I forget about them. So I used the same method I used for the fish to remove clouds far away from the player. I was pretty happy with how they turned out despite the bugs I ran into along the way. With the new clouds looking great, I decided to add upgrades to the game. Right now we can sell fish, but I mean, what's the point of earning coins selling fish if you have nothing to spend it on? So I started with a hook speed upgrade. Buying this lets you control the hook horizontally as it sinks, to dodge fish easier as you descend. Later I decided to give more control to the player while fishing, so I added 2 more upgrades. These upgrades either slow down or speed up the hook as it descends. Alright, I got these added. Pressing up on the arrow keys should let you fall Whoa! Okay. Hey, I got one. So, obviously there are some issues with my hook controller code, and the fish spawn in mid-air, which I must say is concerning. We'll have to try coding that again. So I went and fixed that, refactored the fish code to allow different species, and started thinking of more content to add to the game. I added one more upgrade, line length. Upgrading this is essential to sink deeper and potentially catch even more fish on the way up. At this point I had less than 6 hours left, so I needed to get some SFX and music in the game. I threw some water and fishing sound effects into the game, and booted up Soundtrap to get to work on some original music, this time opting for an orchestral sound, something I've never tried before. I spent a little extra time on this piece, but after hearing the final product I was happy I took this route. I've got to say, I'm pretty proud of this piece, and I feel it fits the vibe of the game pretty well. While I was growing attached to all the clownfish, I knew the game needed more variety, so I added a total of 6 fish to the game. Now we have clownfish, blue tangfish, sea bass, sardines, jellyfish, and tuna, all with different rarities and sell values. Next, I wanted to add abilities. I didn't have much time before the submission deadline, so this was kind of a risky move adding these. I wanted the chance to buy abilities from the merchants and use the trigger power-ups to aid the player while fishing. I started with a simple bait ability. Triggering this puts bait on the hook to make nearby fish swim after it. You know, once I told the fish to stop defying the laws of physics and attacking the player on the boat, we were golden. I had just enough time to cram in the bait ability and its counterpart, slime, before the deadline was up. Alright, the results are in, and I got 2nd place out of 55 entries. That's not bad. Regardless of the jam results, this game was a joy to work on, and I made something I'm really proud of. The scope on it could easily be expanded to include countless new features and mechanics. I've already been putting together a list of ideas for this game because I think this concept could easily be turned into a complete game for release. For example, we could travel the seas on the boat or visit islands. We could add more unique interactions with the merchants, like playing cards with them, chatting with them, events, random quests. We could add more upgrades like a sinker or bobber, more abilities. We could upgrade our houseboat. We could enter the inside of our house and design the interior, kind of like Animal Crossing. We could even add biomes and depth exclusive fish species, not to mention the countless species of fish that could be added to the game. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about these game ideas as potential. Well, there you have it. That was my experience with Mini Jam 158. I had a great time and I learned a lot while doing it. There were also a lot of great submissions to this jam you guys could check out. I have some links to my game and all the other submissions in the description below that you can use to play any of the submissions right now. This video is a bit different from my other ones, so let me know in the comments what you guys think about this content versus the usual animated videos. Please hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. Thanks so much for watching.